I'm not the person that you can scare easy. It would take a lot for me to get like really, really scared. When I went to rent this place, Satan's Choice, where they were living there, I said, "I'm here to look at the house. Do you mind if I come in?" They just looked at me and said, "It's all yours."
When I was growing up, there was a house down the street that was vacant and ramshackle. To me and my friends, that meant only one thing. The house was haunted. Hi, I'm Lawrence Chow. Welcome to Ghostly Encounters. You know, haunted houses aren't just for young boys looking for thrills. People throughout history have told stories of running into scary beings in spooky dwellings. Anthropologists tell us that those stories come from all cultures and from all ages. Sometimes they're a one-time event, and sometimes they repeat themselves over years. And once in a while, they repeat themselves within a single family. Today, we'll explore the phenomenon of generational haunting. We meet a family who will tell us about a ghost that followed them for over 30 years. In 1975, Mary Carmichael and her common-law husband were looking for a house to rent. Despite its previous tenants, the house on Salmon Avenue in Toronto seemed to fit the bill. But Mary had a bad feeling, a feeling she decided to ignore. And that turned out to be a big mistake.
I sort of got the willies about it, right? Like just, I don't know, just something like would tell you like, this house is like there's something wrong with it. I looked at Tanya's dad and I said, do you find that
She threw it away. She wouldn't keep the doll. And I know there was another incident to do with another doll. It was like a big, tall doll that was life-size, the size of yourself. I told my mom it pulled my hair, and I didn't want it in my room. She had to actually take it back to the store. It was a brand new doll. And I kept telling her, it pulled my hair, I don't want this doll. So I think it used to have to do with the mirrors and with my toys.
In the Western tradition, ghosts aren't generally seen as very mobile. They tend to stick to one place. Two classic examples are the lady in white who walks the garden after midnight, weeping for her lost love. And then there's the ghost of Hamlet's father. He appears on the same rampart night after night. From what Tanya has just told us, the story of the ghost of Salmon Avenue seems to be the exception. But Mary and Tanya's ghostly encounters don't end with Tanya's childhood experiences. Many years later, Tanya is a young mother with children of her own, and Mary is a fond and loving grandmother. The strange events relating to the house on Salmon Avenue should be in the past, forgotten and put aside. One day, Mary is visiting her daughter.
She was living on Rodwin at the time, and we were sitting in the kitchen. The phone was sitting on the table. She had one of the walk-around phones, okay, and it was sitting on the table.
I'm sitting at the table talking to my mom. She's making a tea, and all of a sudden the phone started like vibrating and spinning on my table. And it almost looked like it was being hit over and over again, like it was like somebody was tapping it, because it was actually vibrating. You could see it like a shaking motion as it was going. And I wasn't sitting in the chair anymore, obviously. Like I stood up when this phone started spinning, because it scared me. And it was like it happened so quick though, and then it was like it just stopped spinning all of a sudden.
And then it started spinning again, but then it kept spinning like faster and faster and faster, right? And she got scared. She said, "Mom, what's going on?"
Automatically she says the same thing. Things are starting to happen again. And after that, it was just a numerous amount of things. Like my stove would turn on its own. My kettle would boil on its own. It's an electric kettle. You have to plug it in and turn it on.
Then all the burners, like on her stove, come on. They all come on. And then her toaster come on. Her kettle came on. This stuff all started coming on by itself. She went over and she turned it all off. 5 minutes later, it would be all back on.
And then I had occasions where my fire alarm was going off constantly, and there was nothing there to set it off. It was like as if it was sensing a heat of some sort.
So I remember you were telling me about this house on Salmon Avenue. She said, "Do you think maybe the same thing?" She said, "Do you think this is why this is still happening?"
It's the feeling of not knowing what it is and why it's there. Like, it's like a big puzzle. You try to put different things together and try to figure out, you know, why is this happening? Why is it picking us? It's really strange, because is there actually somebody in your house or isn't there? Because sometimes it feels so real that there's actually somebody standing behind you. I've walked down my hallway and felt like something was walking behind me. You turn around, there's nothing there. And that could be the same night that my kettle will turn on. Honestly, for me to, you know, explain it, I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's definitely, there's something there, and, you know, I'd love to know what it is. I mean, I was even thinking of possibly going to a psychic, actually. I have thought of it, I've just never done it. I've spoke to a priest myself. You know, I haven't actually had one come into my own home since I've been living on my own, but, you know, my mom did a long time ago. And in a way, I'm a little bit scared, too, to do that, because if they do say, yeah, we sense something and this and that, is that going to make me feel more uncomfortable than I already do? It's hard. Like, actually, just last night, it's really strange. It was about an hour, I went to bed, and about an hour later, I got up, and I could smell something burning, and I'm like, what is that? And I walked down the hallway, and it's like a stronger smell, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you know, why aren't the smoke detectors going off or anything like that? So I opened the hallway door just to check and see if I see anything. The hallway's full of smoke. And here's a little paper all burnt sitting outside my door. at first, you know, it doesn't seem like it wants to hurt anybody, but if these things are happening where my burners are turning on, sometimes it's like, maybe it doesn't mean to, but it's just, you know, that's dangerous. Something could happen, you know, so should I contact a psychic and find out? Should I call a priest in? You know what I mean? It's hard, but what do you do in a situation like that, you know?
Sometimes, you know, I'll be like I might be sitting out by myself, like Tanya might be sleeping, and like her and Michael off to bed, and then I'll be sitting out in the living room by myself. And I think sometimes I always wonder, am I gonna, like, is something gonna happen while I'm sitting here by myself? Or am I gonna see something that I don't want to see?
I kind of just try to pretend it's not there, you know, like I'll get on the phone and talk to a friend, or I'll go do dishes and different things like that, you know, like I try to occupy myself because I don't like the feeling of it. So, you know, if I'm walking down the hall and I think something's behind me, I'll try to think about something else. It startles you, but then again, this is happening so often, you kind of know that it's probably connected to everything else. So what do you do? You know what I mean? You just have to occupy yourself with other things. Sometimes I'll pick up a magazine and read it, or I'll go every now and then. I've gotten really nervous and just kind of went in my room and went to sleep. You know, kind of felt a little more secure being under a blanket.
While both Mary and Tanya's stories cover many years and more than one location, both of them believe their experiences are connected to the house on Salmon Avenue. Ghost stories may repeat, but traditionally it's unusual for a ghost to attach itself so strongly to one family. Why didn't it transfer its attention to the next inhabitants of the house? Why not to some previous tenants? Mary and Tanya believe the ghost sent something special and followed them to get their help in seeking justice for a terrible crime that may have been committed in that dark basement.
I don't think anybody really ever really bothered going there and digging that part up. And I just have the strongest feeling that there has been something buried there, whether it's a child or something, that there is something there in that one part down in the basement, over underneath that window. And I would say anybody that went down in that basement, that there would draw your attention.
If it's to do with Salmon Avenue, if it's the same thing and it's followed, I think it wants us to know what happened there. I think that's what it is. I think it wants us to know what happened there so that maybe it can go off to a place where it should have went in the first place, a better place.